Hi everyone, and welcome to Unit 3, Early Intervention and an Introduction to Multiple Impairments, including Deaf Blindness. So this unit is very near and dear to my heart because I have worked as an early interventionist and early childhood education of students with blindness and visual impairment. And those with multiple impairments is actually my area of expertise, and so it's a population I've worked the most with. In this unit, you're going to be exposed to a lot of different information and resources. There are quite a few readings, but really what I want you to get out of them is an overview of what blindness and visual impairment looks like in children, the different etiologies that children can have, different causes of blindness. And I also want you to really pay very close attention to the developmental markers and how they're affected by blindness. So one of the number one things that we do in our jobs as early interventionists and visual impairment specialists is to really explain to other people the foundational, the implications of blindness on the sort of developmental foundations that exist for children. So as children develop, they meet certain markers and milestones, and our children with visual impairment often need some extra help just accessing ways to make these developmental milestones work for them. So it's very complex. That's a very simple way to sort of put it, but I just want you to pay attention to kind of what vision development looks like as you go through these different chapters and these different readings. And then if you have your own children or you know children who are typical, think about how they access the world, what their play looks like, what their interactions with their social interactions look like, what they look like with their brothers and sisters, what they look like in their community settings. Think about how blindness and a lack of vision, and it could be, there's a whole spectrum of visual impairment, but just think about how that might impact children that you know. I have my own baby myself, and I've really found that he has been a really good teacher of exactly sort of how to discern the needs of the little students that I work with on my caseload. And your introduction to multiple impairments is just a small one. You're going to read chapter 10 in the Foundations book, and then we will expand on multiple impairments and deaf blindness in the coming weeks. So early childhood development and blindness, the impact of visual impairment really does begin at birth. So the eyes are one of the things in the human body that actually don't really begin doing all of their work until they get out of the womb. And so eyes develop in utero, eyelids do open at a certain point, and that I can't remember right now. And once a baby gets out is really when they start interacting with the world. And so it's not till about 6 months that we expect the eyes, 6 to 8 months that we expect the eyes to fully align. And so babies who are younger than that, they might look cross-eyed. They're beginning to kind of build their binocular vision. They're working on looking and reaching, those type of skills. And so vision development is actually very fascinating because it's just one of those things that's just not all together at birth. It really takes a little bit to develop. And so any sort of visual impairment will impact a baby's motivation to kind of reach out and interact with the world around it. And that is precisely what babies need to do to develop. So keep that in mind. Children with visual impairments really do require specific interventions. You're going to learn about these in this unit. Children with multiple impairments have even more needs that are typically even more complex than just blindness and visual impairment. And keep in mind that it's extremely rare to be visually impaired and have that be it. Children with visual impairments, more often than not, do have other disabilities as well. Close collaboration amongst family professionals and medical professionals is really vital when we're talking about early intervention. So everyone working together for the child, understanding the child's needs, understanding the child's challenges and their strengths are really is really the sort of cornerstone of early intervention. So services may be provided in a variety of settings, but Part C of IDEA emphasizes the use of natural environments. So the law states specifically services are to be given to the maximum extent possible appropriate to the needs of the child, and early intervention services must be provided in natural environments. So natural environments are really places where the child spends their time, their home environment. They can be in the community. Many of the little students I work with, do get physical therapy and occupational therapy and that kind of thing in therapeutic settings or clinical settings. And that's just because that's kind of the nature of the medical system. But there are many other service providers that go into the home, and I certainly have had that experience in my work. Although as a teacher of the visually impaired who does early intervention, I really like to see the child in a lot of different natural environments. But to the most extent possible, as the law states, Part C really wants children to be in their homes with their toys, with their families, and they want you to be doing your work within that environment with the child, because that's simply the best. That's simply where the child is going to learn most of the things they're going to learn. Child Find is a part of IDEA that basically works on sort of referring and identifying children for services. So again, I told you a little bit in the last slide that children with visual impairment, you really don't start noticing things that go wrong with the eyes unless it's very obvious, like something like anophthalmia where the eyes are missing, or microphthalmia where the eyes are very small. So this is something completely obvious. Sometimes parents don't notice it right away, or doctors don't notice it right away. So you as the vision professional, with all the experience that you're going to gain looking at children with visual impairments, might notice things ahead of time, or the other EI providers might call you in to take a look at a child. That happens a lot with my work. And basically you know that if it's past sort of 6 to 8 months and there's something that just doesn't look right, whatever it might be, and it doesn't always manifest itself ocularly, so it doesn't always involve the eyes and looking, but that's a little bit more complicated, and that's more of our sort of neurological or brain-based visual impairments, or CVI, if you've heard of that, and we'll get into those more during our sections on multiple disabilities. But anyways, so Child Find really is the referral process and for services, and to be quite honest, most states do it differently, or a lot of states do it different ways, sometimes birth to 5, it's sometimes birth to 3. In the state of Washington, I can refer a child for services even if I don't have if I don't have a diagnosis. That is not true in all states. So you really, if you want to get into early intervention, you can kind of learn from those folks around you and from resources on the internet about the different rules. An array of services and options must be provided for families because of the unique needs of the child with a visual impairment, and this is very true. Children really do, best practice says that children with visual impairment really should always receive early intervention, just because they need that little extra boost at the beginning, so that the family is supported and understand the developmental implications of not having vision. Best practices also, the legislation and research supports early intervention. Family-centered practices are based on collaboration between families and professionals. So together you write the individualized family service plan, and that really sets the stage for what you're going to be working on with the family, what goals the family has for the child, and as well as working with the other professionals, therapists, and educators in the homes. Practice really focuses on the strengths of the families. What do the families want to accomplish? What do they want their baby to be able to do? And sometimes it's as simple as like sit up, and other times it's as complex as, drink from a straw, or, spend time with family in the community, or whatever it is. There's a bunch of different things. But it really is family driven, and that's the point of this PowerPoint. It empowers families to make their own decisions and guide professionals in the home environment. And that's really what it really should be, family driven. Although you're there to facilitate what the family wants and to learn from them about their child, they know their child best. Your job is to really kind of give them the resources they need to understand visual impairment, give them ideas and strategies for how they can work with their child to meet the goals that they have for their child and their family. And it's really a holistic view of the child and the family. So more so even than student services in Part B, which is school aged, it really does view the family and the child as kind of one unit, and needs to, and you need to take that into account, that even though you're the professional and your level of expertise might be in the visual impairment, the family's level of expertise is truly the child. Okay, so I just wanted to say a couple of other things. Again, this is my favorite topic. Please feel free to ask me questions. Shoot me an email if you have anything you need, or ask in the discussion section. I just want to go over your assignments for this week. So you're going to have your simulation activity, and so that is due tonight, I think. And I'm really excited to read those, and I hope it was a good experience. It's always interesting to go under blindfold, for sure. Your menu assignment number 1 is due on September 9th, and I believe some of you have reached out to Dr. Correa Torres for contacts, and she has those for you. I know she's been having a little bit of trouble with her email, but I think that is rectified now. So, yeah, I think that's the most, and you just have quite a few readings to do. There is a short little quiz, a baby mini quiz, at the end of this unit, and there is no discussion this week, so just do your best with the quiz. Please use evidence from the readings to support your answers, and I certainly hope, again, that you enjoy learning about early intervention, as it's just one of my favorite topics. Take care, and have a wonderful week.